The saying that's the screensaver for the front of this, that came from another autistic person. See, there's your wives' tales of us that you make your decisions on. Basically, anything that gives you an excuse to look the other way. Neurotypicals are all liars. All of them. Show me one neurotypical who's not a liar. Meanwhile, take a look at how desperate our situation is. Take a look at how many of us are murdered by police every year. People get tired of being abused. Even autistic people. You bar us from access to the things that you have access to. You bar us from the rights that you take for granted every day. You bar us from taking part in your society, and yet you expect us to take part in your society. We don't get any of the benefits of your society. All we get is your punishment. How dare we be different than you? How dare we be smarter than you? How dare we? Not that it matters. You want to pretend that it's my fault that people chose to victimize me. It's my fault because I'm weak. Well, I'm not weak. Not by a long shot. Physically, yeah. Mentally, I am very strong. Just overwhelmed. The difference between you and me is that I actually pay attention to details. I actually look into the situation before making decisions, unless it's that a woman decides she's going to play extreme emergency. We all know women like this. They can't get what they want. So what do? They pretend that somebody's trying to hurt them. Oh, I didn't get what I wanted. Maybe I should play victim. I didn't get what I wanted. Maybe I should play victim. Oh, I didn't get what I wanted. Maybe I should play victim. Over and over and over again, I have seen women in my life do this. Not just to myself, but to others. When it comes to protecting ourselves, we're not allowed. We're just expected to take any and all violence that is brought against us. And of course, if a female decides that she's going to send a bunch of people after you by slandering your name, well, that depends on how pretty she is. The prettier she is, the more likely you are to do horrible things. I was honest, but that didn't stop the abuse. And people want to stop and not listen to the abuse. They want to argue over why. Well, I'm trying to tell you why. And it would work out a lot better if you'd actually listen instead of interrupting me all the time, but you can't help yourselves. That lady who works at the hospital wanted to pawn me off on somebody who's a drug addict. If I have to go to the hospital, I gotta go with a drug addict? No, that's not fucking acceptable. It doesn't matter what I think of Brian as a person. What matters is that, yeah, he's a drug addict. For me, going to a fucking hospital with a goddamn drug addict, that's probably not going to turn out well. Ask me how I know. Well, there's recordings on my channel of people who went in with me who were fucked up on drugs. And it did not turn out well. Do you know why? Because they were fucked up on drugs. Are they going to show up? No, probably not. They're messed up on drugs. Like Shannon Alvarado. Every day she'd tell me, oh, Sean, as soon as Danny goes to bed. But then she'd get drunk and she'd be up screaming until God knows when in the morning. And then, of course, it's always the autistic person's fault, because since they think differently, they must be, well, how do you treat us? You treat us like we're retards. And then you get insulted that I use the word retard. Shit, I'm not the one treating people like they're retards. I'll just outright call you a retard for treating me like a retard. Don't treat me like I'm a retard. Retarded means slowed down. My brain is not slow. My brain is fast. Not just fast, my brain is super fast. But you guys don't care. I'm different, so I must be the broken one. Well, I am broken. That's what happens when you have to endure so much abuse. Long-term abuse over long decades. Or no matter what, no matter who harms you, no matter how much is stolen from you. It must be your choice. You chose to be weak. Really? Do you tell somebody in a wheelchair that they chose to be in a wheelchair? No, you wouldn't. It's not okay to go out of your way to discredit the victims and not look at evidence. It is never okay to choose that over looking at evidence. How many of my friends that said that they would look, that they would speak up, how many of them actually did? None of them. A lot of them wanted to argue ignorance at the very beginning. But then when I didn't do right what they wanted, right when they wanted it, they threw tantrums at me. Well, if I throw a tantrum back, I won't be treated very well, will I? I'll be treated like I'm some sort of a horrible animal out to kill everybody or some crazy crap like that. I tried to turn in my predators, and I was blown off by literally everybody. People always want to give bad advice to disabled homeless men. And it's primarily women in houses who have somebody else paying for most of their bills. The things that were done to screw me over should have never happened. And the mistakes that were made intentionally by United States government workers. I don't mean construction workers, although construction workers, some of them did commit felonies as well. But this is the part where we don't get social cues. It's not that we don't get social cues, it's that we know that you're all liars. We know that no matter what, you're just going to play like we're retarded and magically you must be right and we must be wrong. No, that just makes you shitty people. Take a look at my dad. There's a prime example of a terrible excuse for a human being. Laura Nelson of Chapel, Nebraska. There's another horrible excuse for a human being. Sure, she's nice to your face, but she'll talk shit behind your back as soon as you walk out the store. I'm not talking shit behind your back. I'm making it loud and proud, public on Facebook, public on YouTube. I'm making sure that I expose the cowards. What made them cowards and why. I exposed people's excuses. It's not that I didn't try to get help. It's that people don't listen to retarded individuals in this country. If you assume that somebody is retarded, that's good enough. If a pretty girlie says that he's retarded, then it must be good enough. I do point out the gaping nastiness that's going on in this sex war, and how we literally are forced to give up everything that we earn to women. Why is that? Now, don't get me wrong, I hear these fat women complaining. I do. You know, we got plenty of fat women that think that their boss or coworker should leave his drop-dead gorgeous wife. Like, hey, you know, if you're going to literally describe the perfect wife and then tell him that he should get rid of her because he owes you a chance because fat girls need loving too. You know what? There's lots of bald men out there that ain't getting no attention. There's lots of guys out there with big noses that ain't getting no attention. There's lots of guys out there that are fat and not getting any attention. There's lots of skinny guys out there that aren't getting any attention. What makes you so fucking special? Is it the fact that you're fat? No, you think you should get special treatment because you're a woman. He does not owe it to you to get rid of his wife to give you a chance. That's fucking insane. Oh, that ain't gonna work. Ugh. Tobacco is nasty, by the way. I know I got a halfie in it. Well, maybe not a halfie. I burnt my fingers. But I'm going to try smoking it anyway, because smoking off a tobacco pipe sucks. For me, just like most high-functioning autistic folks, we have a built-in lie detector. We know you're full of shit. But we're expected to follow along. If we don't do what you say, then we're not trying. If we do what you say, though, you're still not there to see it, so you're just going to assume the worst anyway. You don't actually assume the worst in us. You know what kind of people we are. You didn't actually assume the worst in us. What you did is try to alleviate your pain, alleviate your responsibility by throwing it onto somebody who's typecast. Take a look at what Maddie Ziegler did to autism. Did he do anything good for us? No. I probably shouldn't have said he. I was thinking about Sheldon Cooper at the same time. My most sincere apologies if I got someone's gender wrong. When my words don't come together, it's not meant as an insult towards you. It's a measure of how overwhelmed I am. When I got to deal with alcoholics, I already know their brains aren't working right, and they're going to be assholes if I don't listen to them, if I don't do exactly what they want right when they want it. We're compassionate. Actually compassionate. If you go back through the evidence, you get to see there's lots of stuff that people took off of my Facebook that I actually typed, and then they want to pretend like I was trying to hide it. Oh, Sean, I had to get this from some Facebook group. They took it off of my Facebook. That group taking screenshots of stuff that came off of my Facebook. That admission that you got, that came from me. When I screw up, I admit that I screwed up. Also, like many victims, I'm used to having to be diplomatic to keep the fucking peace. Well, being diplomatic doesn't work. All being diplomatic does is get you pegged as weak and targeted. Of course, it could be worse. I could be a first-class coward like Eric Christopher Schwartz. Now, there's a lot of people in my life who did really messed up things, like my little sister Tara. And of course, you give people the chance to change, they might change. My little sister was not a good person when I was growing up. She was a selfish person. A very selfish person. When she realized that the guy that she wanted to get married to, she wanted to get married on 7/7/2007, so that it would be a godly number that she was married on. Oh, strange. The guy that she was engaged to, his name was Joey Witcher. The guy that my mom was cheating on her husband with, it's one of his sons. My little sister found out that she wasn't going to be able to get married on 7/7/07 because Joey's naval requirements. Oh. So she got married to Riley Lawton instead. That way she'd get married on 7/7/07, which is a strange reason for getting married. But when my sister explained it to me, I went, well, that's par for the course. If Joey wasn't able to marry her on 7/7/07, then it meant that God didn't ordain for Joey to be getting married to her, so she should be getting married to Riley, because he was available on 7/7/07. She started dating him months ahead of time so that they could get married on 7/7/07. And my little sister was always weird like that because my mom's always pushing that weirdo Christian stuff on her. And I mean the really weird stuff. Like, my mom is really into some creepy Christian stuff that's not actually Christian. Oh yeah, and it's only when it benefits her. We should all be used to that, right? Now, my little sister, when she went and got pregnant and had a daughter, she tried being a much more honest person. And I'm glad for that. But the other thing is, I didn't spend much time with her. My little sister is scary. Just like anybody else, if she doesn't get what she wants right when she wants it, she may throw a tantrum and she may say some of the world's most horrible things. Do I believe that Riley choked her out like my little sister claims? Or like her friend claims? Is this lady who is her friend really her friend? Oh, it's Amber. It's another one of Riley's ex-wives. The problem that I'm dealing with is that I have communication difficulties, especially when in a state of panic or stress. And all of my predators prey on that. If a woman, for example, Jamie Curtis, called me 88 times in just a few hours, You know, when a guy travels 1,700 miles to get the hell away from you, like I did with Natalie and Alicia Bollinger, 1,700 miles to get away from them. When that's not good enough, and there's a bunch of drug dealers and drug addicts, like Tim Beeston, getting a hold of you to harass you and threaten to harm you and your family, you goddamn right I'm going to speak up. What are the chances that my little sister is telling the truth about being threatened and being harassed and being followed by the cops? Well, the being followed by the cops part, yeah, that is definitely a probability. As far as somebody from Colorado coming up, no, Tara was wanting any excuse that she could come up with. Because what she wanted wasn't to help me. What she wanted was my money. And every time that she got my money, immediately she left to go hang out with Ed. Or needed to hang out with Ed. Well, that just tells me that she's on meth. And then there's the meth cameras that she got surrounding her place. Where did all that money go that she kept on promising me and telling me, oh, well, I need money for this and I need money for that? Well, then why didn't she buy any of those things? Why didn't she buy the insurance that she claimed she was gonna? Kind of like Dallas Richmond. Why didn't he pay for insurance? When he fucked that up with me, not once, not twice, but it was the third time that he came to me for the same money for the same thing. And then I found out that his dad gave him money for that same exact thing too. All Dallas had to do was mooch off of people and he had it all set up. For me, I had to bust my ass while hoping that people would maybe keep their word, but no, none of them do. It has nothing to do with right and wrong, and it never did. Take a look at how many people I spoke up about, and how many of them ever tried speaking up for me. I followed instructions. See, when you're disabled, everybody wants to peg you into the mentally retarded situation. You must be mentally retarded. Well, I'm not. Most of our problem with you neurotypicals is that you are blasphemic morons. You want to talk about the Jesus when it suits you. But when it doesn't suit you, you turn right back to blasphemy. Well, I can be a hypocrite too. I like the Jesus. I think that as far as treating other human beings as human beings, Jesus is probably a good example to follow. But I don't for 1 minute believe that Jesus was the one and only Son of God. Not for one moment. Even Jesus himself referred to himself as the Son of Man. The Son of Man. As if he was trying to remind his apostles and anybody else that he spoke to that he is the Son of Man. That he is a human. That his mother was human, obviously. And that his father was a man. What was God's name? Was God's name man? Is there any variant of the word man in the Hebrew Scriptures? Is there any variant of that word that is construed as being God? No, there isn't. There's not even words that are similar when it comes to referring to the Almighty. course, if we assign them enough names and assign them enough numbers, then we can get people to do creepy stuff over, well, craziness. You know, there's 3 sixes in a row on my driver's license. 3 sixes in a row. Does that make me Satan just because there's 3 sixes in a row on my driver's license? No, it doesn't. How about if somebody has 3 sixes in a row in their phone number? Does that make them satanic? No, it doesn't. But how many screwed up, quote unquote, neurotypicals do we have to deal with? They want to play screwed up crap like that. Like, yeah, no, dude, that's not how numbers work. If you want to mess around with numbers until you finally get an answer that sort of fits whatever craziness you got going on in your head, that's on you. Don't project it onto the rest of us. If I project that stupidity right back at you, you're not going to like it, guaranteed. Proof is in the pudding. There's lots of people who had the opportunity to go in with me for my safety about this situation with Natalie, both before and after her death. Anybody exposed on my YouTube channel or my Facebook channel, chances are pretty good that you're exposed as cowards. You don't let us be honest. You don't let us tell the truth. All you neurotypicals, your ideas are always the same. When it's somebody else, they should ignore it. But if you have to deal with it, even on a smaller version, my God, it's the end of the world and everybody better listen, right? Wrong. I don't owe it to you to listen to you just because you're pretty, or just because you're female, or just because you're a mother. And Jamie Curtis got to learn that lesson. The last 3 times that I saw Jamie, I didn't even want to see Jamie. I just wanted to see her son. Because between the two, her son has a greater sense of morality. It's a gross world that we live in. It's even more disgusting that people want to talk over me instead of listening. It's even more disgusting that people who want to claim to be Christians don't come forward. That shows me that their God is as fake as they are. You get to hear how I have to try to hold it all together at all points in time and pretend everything's okay, or you hurt me. But then when I have to try to pretend everything's okay and tell you what's going on, you just talk over me like it's no big deal. Well, it is a big deal. It is a very big deal. Alright, somebody type the word yo in the comment section. You know, if you type that twice, you get a toy. Yo-yo. Of course, only by name. In reality, just saying something doesn't mean that you get it. If you say yo-yo, it doesn't mean that you're going to get a yo-yo. There's lots of people I know that believe they're going to win the lottery. They got it set in their head that eventually, someday, they're going to win the lottery. If they have enough faith, dialing for dollars will call them up, huh? It doesn't work that way. It'd be nice if it did. It'd be nice if we could cure our loneliness by wishing for a dog and enough food for that dog for the rest of its life. Anyway, you treat us with complete and total disrespect. You ignore us as human beings unless you want something. Sometimes that something you want is manual labor. Sometimes it's food. Sometimes it's just someone to bully or pick on, or berate, talk down to. On the bright side, I speak up. Whether you want me to or not, whether you listen or not, at least I fucking try. Which is more than I can say for a single person who ever tried calling me friend through this. Did you really try? Did you try going in with me for my safety? Did you try going in together with me for your safety? No, you didn't. So when I went in alone, the police just pretended that I didn't try. And when you claim that you went in alone, you didn't save any proof of it. You don't even know the name of the officer you spoke to. How many officers did you speak to about me? How many times did you try? There's a difference between lying to somebody and having communication issues. If I accidentally said he instead of she, I try to correct it. However, just because I said he instead of she doesn't mean I'm a liar. Just means my words didn't come together right because I'm overwhelmed. It's not like when you get assaulted by a police officer and you got lucky like Zayd Atkinson or Samuel Leon Lawrence IV, where it only happened once and you got, well, everything handed to you. That didn't happen for Michelle Rodriguez. Oh, oh my God, my fucking back is killing me. The problem is I have to pretend that I'm not autistic so you don't hurt me. I have to pretend I don't have Tourette syndrome so you don't hurt me. And I have to do those things all the time. I don't get a rest from it. There is no break from autism. There's no vacation from Tourette syndrome. problem that we have is that we live in a world full of dishonest people. And of course, you guys have an easy out no matter what. You tell us one thing and you do another. And then you say, oh, look, see, I told him this, I told him this. Yes, and when did you tell me an important detail? Long after the fact, when you thought that it would be a valid excuse to dip out. Oh, hell no. If it were true, you should have come forward at the beginning instead of being a coward. Also, anybody who tells you ending your own existence is the easy way out obviously never tried it. Their lives are pretty enough, and they get treated well enough, that that's not how they live. Some of us are just stuck out here on the streets with your opinions. You don't hear me. No matter what, you don't hear me. If I talk calmly, then you ignore me and pretend everything's all right. You talk over me and treat me like I'm retarded until I have a mental breakdown from being treated like I'm a fucking retard. People with cerebral palsy have to deal with that. People with autism have to deal with that. People with Down syndrome have to deal with that. And it's not cool.